one of the bond determination hearings. I went into the courtroom. I was the only observer, and the only other person in the courtroom was a guard. And the doors to the courtroom are locked. And the courtroom, the way it's set up, is there's a couple of benches for observers, and then there's a dividing thing, just like a normal courtroom. And then there's one table in front of a video camera and a large screen TV. And one particular experience was, and then there's a tissue box on the table. And one particular experience, this woman was brought in, and she wasn't allowed to speak the entire time. The entire bond determination hearing was conducted in English, and she tried to speak at the end, and the judge told her, you have to talk to your attorney, you can't talk to me, and then that was basically it. And the attorney was in Brownsville, Texas, and he was appearing telephonically, and she was crying the entire time, and nobody acknowledged the fact that she was crying. The guard noticed eventually, I think, but besides me and the guard, because of the way the equipment was working, nobody could even see or hear or anything that she was like bawling in the courtroom.
So I saw my first Credible Fear interview today, which was very eye-opening. I didn't know how the whole process worked before I sort of sat down and watched it. The woman that I sat down with was from Guatemala, had traveled through Mexico, and she had been raped in Mexico and wanted to tell her story and wanted that to be part of her asylum application. And I felt as though the asylum officer very much brushed her experience aside and didn't even listen to her at all. And she was very, very upset about that. And he kept asking her, well, why are you crying? And I guess to me that really got to me. The idea that you could have this woman in front of you who's experienced horrible things and to ask her why she's crying and to not sort of accept her story. I thought was very sad.
Yesterday we were taking a statement from a woman who was applying for withholding, and she was talking about her husband beating her and her, I think it was 5 or 6-year-old daughter sitting next to her. And I realized as I'm typing up notes and Lauren's translating, her daughter is mimicking everything I do. So I started playing with the daughter to try to distract the daughter. And it was just a really difficult moment to I didn't want to seem like I was disregarding the woman's story, but I also didn't want the child to be paying attention to the woman's story when she was clearly bored and she was trying to engage me. So it was I was trying to do both. And I think it really captures the insanity of the kids being there with their parents when they're telling these horrific stories.